Hey everybody, we're back. We're back. You know, we don't do this enough. I know. Anyway, it's the CCJT Amateur Hour Production Values Go to Die.
Yep.
Over there, CC.
Over there's JT.
And what we do is we do a writer's podcast to help writers write. And we've been doing this for many years now. It's just been fun.
It's been 5 years, I think.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I have fun doing this. I really do. And what we did to accentuate the process, accentuate the experiences, is we've been inviting writers in. So we do a podcast one week, and we have a writer come in the next week. And I think, was our last one Ron Roman?
Yes.
Ron Roman, what a trip.
That was fun.
That was trip. Ron logged in from beautiful South Korea, just outside of Kusan Air Base, and was talking about his works and his philosophies, and he's a trip, and you should check out that podcast.
Yeah.
But the downside of that is we don't get to do this as much as I like. You know.
Well, you don't. I'm doing them every day.
Yeah. You know what I mean.
I know. I'm just teasing.
Don't be ornery, God.
I'm teasing.
Anyway, this is our podcast before St. Patrick's Day. Can you tell? Can you tell? And it's like.
Well, and it is also the time change. So if we're a little discombobulated this morning, don't forget, if you're watching this on March 8th, 2026, your clock should be moved ahead an hour if you're in an area that does that.
Okay, so we're just so full of public service announcement today. We're full of something. We've got a cornucopia. There's a word.
Great word.
Great word.
Cornucopia.
A cornucopia of announcements today. First of all, if you do not need to be a Carson City resident, but if you want to participate in the annual Best of Carson survey, we encourage you to do so, and we certainly encourage you to pick the writer, the author. Pick the author. Boy, there's a lot of people. There's some good people on that list.
Well, I know for sure Bill Brown's on there. I believe Todd Borg is on there, who does those Lake Tahoe mysteries. A lot of great authors. And I will say, if you're not in the area, it is a Best of Carson Now list. So it is a lot of local businesses that you would not be familiar with. And we are way down toward the bottom. So, we get it. But if you'd like to spend a few minutes scrolling through Carson City businesses, if you plan on visiting the area, you can learn about what's going on here.
Anyway, carsonnow.org.
Yep.
They have something right there on the front. It is so cool. Please, pay some attention to your favorite writers.
I was hoping that they would lump us together as CC and JT, but they chose to separate us, which, so we're actually competing against each other, but
yeah. So we're actually two separate entries.
We're happy to be nominated.
And like I said, it's right on the. The link is right on the front page, and it'll take you a few minutes because there's a lot of fantastic businesses that are featuring their goods here in beautiful Carson City. So, including
the Nevada State Museum, which I voted for several times.
Yeah. Other things that we've got going on that we need to talk about because we're not going to be back unless we do one-off, which I'm always a fan of. I like doing one-offs. But unless we do one-off, this will be the last podcast that we talk about Finding Salvation before it's released, which is being released on March 17th. Yeah, and it came together so well. The book came together. It's the 3 novellas. If you remember the Serving Salvation series, which was a three book epic, which happens 3,000 years in the future, humanity's last hope, looking for a home, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then somebody said, we should do, I remember how that came about. She had an idea and it sort of blossomed in my brain and it turned into 3 novellas and turned into this book. And so what happens is so salvation, took off from earth. What happened to the people who were left behind? And there were quite a few people left behind, but we talk about some significant events in there.
So this takes place 3,000 years before the Serving Salvation series, because that is at the end of their journey. This is the inciting time period of when they're leaving Earth.
Right. So if you are in the Reno Carson City area and you want to come on down and get an advanced copy, or not an advanced copy. Well, yeah, actually, technically you can get an advanced copy because this is on our website right now, our bookstore. And our bookstore, let me see if I get this right, carsonhume.square.site.
SITE.
So Carson Hume does great outside. So this book is already for sale out there.
Right.
It's also out on the major platforms. It'll be released on March 17th, both ebook and paperback. And we're going to be at Comma Coffee on I guess technically it's South Carson.
It is South Carson Street because the dividing line is the Capitol building.
Right.
Because I think the Capitol is like 100 North Carson Street.
Yeah,
so
something like that. King Street.
It's directly across the street from the Nevada State Legislature.
Yep, and it's the go-to place for everybody.
Yep.
But,
including the legislators when they're in town.
So we'll be there, we'll be starting to setting up, around 8:30ish and everything. I talked to June. Thank you, June, by the way, for having us.
Thank you.
To June. So we'll have a table, right there by the door. The flyer is already there, so come on by. We're going to bring a dozen copies unless somebody pre-orders. We're also going to bring all 3 books of the Serving Salvation series.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll all be there. And I think we'll just bring that. We'll just keep it simple.
Right.
We'll just keep it simple. We'll have the flyers and the not barcodes.
We'll have our QR codes and the one sheet talking about our other books.
Yeah.
If you are in the Carson City, Reno, Minden, Gardnerville area, and you order something from our bookstore, we can make arrangements to meet up with you as well to save on shipping costs. So if you can't make it to one of our events, let us know. You can order from our bookstore, and we can meet at Comma Coffee.
Yeah, some public place.
Chat.
Just a heads up, you are going to be charged for the shipping, but once we give you the book, we'll Venmo you. We'll reimburse you for those shipping costs.
Right.
You're going to be paying taxes though. So,
Oh yeah, we can't. No, we
taxes.
need to keep the taxes going, but we can refund you the shipping if you're local and you want to meet up with us somewhere.
Yeah, we will refund the shipping, absolutely. Okay. Now, we are not only going to be seen at Comma Coffee on St. Patrick's Day. And by the way, I want to thank June because I gave her the flyer yesterday, and she taped it to her counter right there beside where, if y'all know Comma Coffee, you know this. She taped it to the counter right there where you pay for your food. And I was just sort of, thank you.
He is a Comma Coffee regular, so during the week he's there maybe three times a week. No specific days, but if you ever happen to wander in and see JT with his little sign, which he didn't bring over, but say hi.
Say hi. Let's talk books. And believe me, because what I'm probably doing is I'm probably editing my next book. And believe me, Terry, as much as I love you, oh dear God.
And the next one is related to this one.
Yeah. So anyway, Terry.
TerryCase.com.
Terry's a great editor, but oh my God.
Maybe a little too good.
Oh, she challenges me. She challenges me.
She tasks you.
She tasks me. Just like Kirk tasks
Con. He tasks me.
Okay. Terry is, of course, a fantastic writer in her own right, so please check her out at terrycase.com. Okay. March 17th is not the only time you'll have an opportunity to say hi to us. We've got 3 appearances already planned, and I guess this is the norm because we really didn't do book signings. We haven't done book signings, prior to last year.
Correct. Our first one was at the Nevada State Museum last March or April.
Yeah, and so I guess we've learned that the book signings go into hibernation for December and January.
I think. Did we do our last one in early November?
Yeah, something like that. So, but anyway, they're coming out. So we ended up with not only Comma Coffee, but we ended up with 3 more just very quickly. We're going to be on April 4th. We're going to be at the Pete Livermore Sports Complex in South Carson to participate in the Pumpkin Pioneers and Tall Tales Easter Egg Hunt. We're going to be bringing our new banner, which when we get that, we're going to, show it on here. I've been trying to get this banner for months, and CC's just been giving me
I'm still a little hesitant about this. We'll see how it goes, because if anybody grew up with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and the Child Catcher, this might give you a little bit of a similar feeling anyway, but it's JT's idea.
Yeah, Jay, so I'm taking full responsibility, but we'll debut it either here on the podcast or on social media.
We may not use it for very long depending on how it goes, but it will work for the event we're doing because it is an Easter egg hunt. And and it is, so the Pete Livermore Sports Complex is off Snyder Avenue. So if you are familiar with Carson City, that's way down there.
Yeah, so you'll be basically head for Stewart head for
Yeah.
the Stewart Museum, and it's in that neighborhood down
Yep.
there. Really, it's easy to find. So we're
Yeah.
going to be doing that. And then a week later, the Nevada State Museum, we're going to be
Yep.
doing the book fair again, and we'll have fun there. That's always fun.
Actually, that's what these books are for. The
Yeah.
stack of books right here is going to the Nevada State Museum.
Right. So they've got a fabulous bookstore,
Mm-hmm.
and we're so grateful to the team over there for supporting Nevada authors. Because you walk in there, you look to the right, you just see bookshelves of books of local,
lot of
Nevada
great
writers, and
authors.
it's
Yep.
just awesome. Thank you for doing that.
And we will be most likely in the D. McGuinn Concourse, which is the glass area between the two Nevada State Museum buildings. One of the buildings is the old Federal Mint, which is obviously the big stone structure. The other one is an old bank. I think it was First Interstate Bank for a while. That's where the gift shop is located. So when you go into the D. McGuinn Concourse, you're going to head toward the smaller of the two buildings. So you would be turning north in that concourse. But it's a beautiful concourse. Dee McGuinn, of course, was one of our first ladies, and I believe she was a big supporter of the State Museum. So she lent her name to the fundraising for the concourse. And yes,
it really worked out well.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so
it looks like an old mining head frame.
Yeah. So we're going to be there on April 11th. We'll talk more about it as we get closer. And then in June, we're going to be doing the Sierra Arts Foundation Book Fest again over in Sparks. Yay,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be fun. We get to see you again. We get to see our friends.
Yep.
Sierra
Arts Literary Community.
Yeah, Sierra Arts Literary Community, which, by the way, you can learn more about them on our other podcast, Nevada Author Network, which is at www.twomorebooks.com.
Mm-hmm.
Nice plug. Got that plug in there. That was cool.
Well, we have to support our friends at Sierra Arts Literary Community. We have made some really good friends within that group, and we're sharing beta reading, and we're, sharing event. If someone hears about an event or something, we share information about that. The meetings are great. They're usually held on the first Sunday of the month. So if you are local and you're interested in writing, you don't have to be a Sierra Arts member to go to these meetings, but we do recommend that you join Sierra Arts Foundation. They are great supporters of our local arts community, whether they're literary, visual, or performing, textiles, all the good stuff. So definitely check them out.
And just as a side note, just not to steal CC's thunder, except in April it's going to be on the second Sunday because the first Sunday is Easter.
That's why I said normally. Normally, they're on the first Sunday of the month. There are exceptions, but normally it is the first Sunday.
Yeah, but come on down. There's like 40 of us that show up at every Sunday that it is held.
And it is a group of authors in various stages of their journey. Some people haven't published yet. Some people are multi-published. Some of the members teach a lot of workshops and things like that, so you can learn a lot from these groups. There are also critique group offshoots of that main group. So when you attend these meetings, you're usually getting information not only about the main group and those authors, but other opportunities as well.
And we should talk about that a little bit too, because we get that some writers are used to being, limiting their public appearances because it's they have questions or confidence issues and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They may just be publishing anonymously to web pages or to Amazon or something like that.
Which is fine.
You got to roll at your own speed.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side of that is, if you do become successful overnight, and it does happen, you need to have some tools in your toolbox.
Right.
Dealing with public appearances and stuff like that. And we did a few weeks ago, we did a kind of a panel questionnaire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, then I realized how badly I needed those tools. I don't know about for you. You used to be in Toastmasters, so the public speaking thing.
Well, I did Toastmasters, and also while I was working at the State Archives, I got thrown into giving tours.
Yeah.
So I'm used to being in that spotlight. I mean, literally, I was thrown into giving tours one day. I knew what was going on. I followed along on other people's tours. And one day they said, nobody else is available. Here you go. Here's a group of people. Take them around. So going to an author event like that is kind of like being put on the spot, because you get all these random questions that you may not be expecting. We had one at one of our events last year that has taught me a new pivot, because we found out that asking people what they like to read is a good way to break the ice, and you start talking about books. But I asked this one particular person, and their answer completely threw me for a loop. And I said, well, we don't have any of those. And it was just like, that was the end of the conversation. I've learned that based on that experience, what I should have said was, oh, so what's your favorite book? Or, you know, kind of continued the conversation. She just completely threw me on that one. So going to these meetings does help you figure out those things.
So we invite you, the writer, to come on down. We invite you to become a Sierra Arts Foundation member, because supporting the arts is what helps develop us into a community. A town, a city is buildings, roads, gridlock, you know, the whole thing. But a community is common experiences that draw us together. Art is the way to do that. Literary art, visual art, musical art, those are all things that are supported by the Sierra Arts Foundation. It does a good job, folks.
They do.
And you'd be surprised how good job it does with how little money it has to do it with. So this is a worthy cause, worthy of your time. That's for you, Tia.
And also, if you are not an author, but you are a reader or a fan of the arts, you can check out their 2 galleries. They have the Riverside Gallery on Virginia Street near the Truckee River, and also the Depot Gallery, which is where the Book Fest will be in Sparks and Victorian Square. They do carry books by members of the Sierra Arts Literary Community, so you can check those out. You can also look at whatever exhibit they happen to be showing at that point in time. There are some wonderful artists in our community, both literary and visual.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, we're going to segue over to our book statuses, and I've got one that's going to maybe disappoint, but before I do that, we'll go over to CC and talk about where you are on your books, works in progress.
Currently, my Restless Spirits Book 2 is at the editors. It will be starting editing on March 20th, so I'm excited about that.
Woo.
I did do the beta revisions, got that done, and I am going to be pivoting to Restless Spirits Book 3 because I hope that will go in not too long after Book 2 is ready to release. I also have gotten a new idea for Battleborn Bride, and actually that might be my separate video for today. I might talk about the change in my plan for that book, because I actually think it will make it a more interesting book for a wider audience, and that one will be coming out in October, hopefully, and it is going to be specifically about Nevada statehood. It will be set in Carson City during the 1863-1864 time period. It will be very heavily historical. There will be a lot of historic events. So I will be visiting the Nevada State Library and Archives to do more research.
Oh, you poor people.
Refresh my memory.
Have you ever been there?
Never.
No.
What, 17 and a half years
No.
every day? But, so I'm looking forward to that. And so things are going well. Plus there's the other project that once I get all of this stuff, probably once I get Battleborn Bride done, I'm going to be pivoting to using my trusty typewriter, which if you've been watching my videos, that was a popular one. I'll be typing up some poems in the style maybe of Edgar Allan Poe that I will be reading for Spooktober in October, and I might release a little companion book to that.
Excellent. That sounds like great fun. That's great fun.
Lots of going on.
Yeah. Speaking about companion books and compendiums, when I get some downtime, there may be Serving Salvation, not compendium.
Yeah, it's a compendium.
A compendium to explain what's going on in that book, because one of my favorite readers, well, 2 of my favorite readers, this being one of them, has been really pushing me on that, because I guess, I don't know if complexity is the right word, but
it is a complex universe.
So it's maybe something to have, and I haven't figured out how to do that, but I'm working on that. But
we should also mention, I don't think it's just the 2 of us. I think also our fan club.
Yes, our fan club. Yes, our fan club.
Hi, Cap and Dan.
Hey, hi, Cap. El Presidente and Vice Presidente.
Or co-presidents, whatever.
No. Cap is the president.
Okay.
Cap is the president. Okay.
But I'm picturing something along the lines of the Star Trek compendiums, where you describe obviously the ship layout, things like that. Someone specifically asked for a layout. Definitely kind of a family tree, because there are generations of characters in these books, and it would be nice to be able to place who is in which generation, and their place in the universe and things like that. So there is a lot of information that would have to be organized.
Yeah, I'm looking for it because I'm going to be taking some. I'm going to be taking some relative downtime for me. Usually I'm writing on the next book, and I'm going to talk about that. But I have some ideas. Cece gave me some ideas, of course, and because she's always doing that.
I'm getting blamed for this.
Okay. But for me, first of all, the next thing to come out is Finding Salvation on St. Patrick's Day. And then after that will be the next book in the same universe. This Finding Salvation is about the people who are left behind, but there were more people left behind, and my next book after that talks about that. Same universe, same time period.
Same time period as this one.
Same time period as Flyaway Day. So if you're familiar with the books, you'll know that Flyaway Day is when salvation left the earth. The book that I'm editing right now starts on Flyaway Day on Earth. So same universe. And then after that, I had planned to do Maggie book for release on Nevada Day. And we're segueing into the topic of today's podcast. And I think you can tell by the tone of my voice that Maggie book 4 is not going to happen in 2026. And for folks that were waiting for it, I'm sorry. But I've gotten, some 20-something thousand words on it, and I'm just not liking the direction. I'm not liking the flavor or the tone. It's actually kind of boring, and that may be my opinion, but I'm the creator, so I could do that. But I've decided that for a couple of reasons, and one of those being related to CC. I'm going to go ahead and take a step back from Maggie book 4 and let it germinate for a while. It is going to miss Nevada Day unless I wake up in the middle of the night with this fantastic flash of lightning, which I've had in the past. It can happen.
It happens. Actually, that happens to him a lot.
But I think that Maggie is probably going to be delayed for a while. And when I mentioned CC, so what happens now is we were going to do a joint release on October 31st, which is Nevada Day, and which is actually Nevada Day this year. October 31st is Nevada Day this year. You will end up having Nevada Day all to yourself, so to speak.
I was looking forward to the joint release, but I'm really looking forward to this Nevada Day release of this particular book because I think it is perfect timing for the subject matter, and I'm really excited to share this story because I don't think a lot of people are aware of how Nevada became a state. So I understand what you're saying, and I am excited about it, but I was looking forward to maybe doing a joint release.
And thus we enter into the main topic,
right.
Is pushing. You can write to market, which a lot of people do. Obviously, I don't write to market. The Maggie series is about as close as I do. It's about write to market. And I don't know if I was just putting undue pressure on myself to get it out, which, probably somebody over here is nodding. I see it. Undue pressure to get it out. But the flip side is we're retired. That's something that we always forget. I don't know if we tried with this podcast to part the curtain a little bit to show you what the process is for doing self-publishing, independent publishing, hopefully giving some folks advice and guidance on how to do that. But we are always working on books, and if we're not working on our books, working on our company, which is really the same coin, on just one side flipping over to the other side.
Yeah.
If we're not typing books, then we're doing, we're organizing releases, and we're talking to people online about books, and we're doing business stuff, taxes, meetings, and I don't mean it to sound like
poor us.
Pardon me?
Poor us.
Because we're enjoying it, but it is continuous, and sometimes. We really do need to take a step back. And so, what we did is, let's take the vacation. And so we're going to be driving across America. And then we said, let's make it work related so we can take it off on taxes. And we're not geniuses here, people.
It will be fun, though, because we're going to be exploring libraries and independent bookstores along the way. Yeah. So, it is fun when we travel. we talked about this for our last cross-country road trip. We were pushing for each day's destination without really enjoying the trip to the destination. So this time around, we're going to try to take it a little easier. We'll see if that actually works.
Yeah.
And enjoy the trip itself instead of just, oh, we need to get here by this time so we can check in, blah, 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 blah. So we're shifting how we're doing the trip. But like JT said, we are working 24/7 because I know both of us have had dreams about what we're working on. We've probably had dreams about events and things like that. So there's really no vacation. And we did talk about this in a separate episode, having no vacation from our own brains.
Yeah. So in that thing, where I've made the difficult decision of setting aside Maggie Book 4. So what that means is the book after this one may or may not be the last book I publish a year, which is not terrible. Publishing 2 books in a year, is fine, and you're planning to publish 3 books.
At least.
So that's not a bad thing, but though I'm thinking it is possible that the book that I've been germinating on, maybe November, December release, but I'm not going to push that.
And that actually is something that is a little bit of a relief to me because JT has been showing a bit of signs of burnout lately, which, being married as long as we have, we don't always listen, we hear, but we don't always listen to each other. And I've been saying, you don't have to work this hard.
Yeah.
Don't stress yourself. These morning trips to Kama Coffee are a way to sit down and have some writing time because that really works well for his process. But, sometimes he's like, oh, I don't feel like going out. And I'm like, don't, stay home, watch something, play some chess, do something else. Give your mind a break. And JT's like, no, I want to keep the momentum going. And I get it, I do. But on the flip side, you kind of have to take a break every once in a while.
So we're torn between these 2 conflicting drives. And it's basically how we were raised that, it's produce in some form or another. But we're retired and it's okay to
really not.
to give ourselves permission to take a time out.
Right.
Stop. Not everything has to be work related. Not everything has to be writing related. Not everything has to be business related. And, this is the 2nd year of our business and we're still trying to, even though we've been writing forever, but this is the 2nd year of our official LLC, and trying to find that balance has been a challenge. And I really still don't know where that is. So what I've decided is, like I said, I'm just going to, stop, take a step back, not push myself on Maggie, focus on getting the edits that I have done before I dive into the next book. And hopefully, that book will be coming out on my birthday in July.
And it is good to remember that even with people who are trying to promote authors as, you need to get a certain amount of a backlist going to become a successful author. JT's got 16 books out now.
16, 17.
And I know one person very famously did the whole 20 to 50K, so it's 20 books to $50,000. I don't know if that was supposed to be a year or what, who knows. But the idea of getting a decent backlist and then finding a readership is a thing with writers. If you have a single standalone book, sometimes it can be a little bit of a hard sell because you have a very specific niche for that book. Whereas we're kind of all over the place, we could appeal to a variety of people, and we do have quite a backlist going now. So with all that said, JT doesn't really need to feel like he has to push himself to write Maggie Book 4, even though it would be good this year, considering it's an election year, and
Oh, crap.
But, all that said, no. See, I need to stop talking because I keep giving you ideas. But it is true that we do push ourselves too hard, and technically we did retire, though I don't feel like we are retired. We retired from our previous careers, and started a new one.
It still doesn't feel like we're retired.
No.
And hey, Jennifer, I've just made a move in backgammon. I'm typing hi to you. Typing hi to you while
Podcasting.
we are recording the podcast. Related? Wahaha.
And this is what gets him in trouble.
Okay. I should focus, but yeah.
Were you actually playing backgammon while we're podcasting?
Yeah, I did, because Jennifer and I have been talking, Jennifer of the Carolinas, but my point being is, we independent writers, well, all writers just drive themselves to produce. It's sort of like in academia, publish or perish, and it's kind of the same thing. And I really do need to take a step back and relax, and
I agree.
It's hard.
No, I agree, and I don't know how long it will last, because inevitably JT will get an idea, he'll get a plot bunny in the shower, or be falling asleep at night and something will occur to him, and he'll be back onto Maggie, and it will just come out like that, and the process will start all over again. I've watched it multiple times.
Yeah, it's my favorite analogy. Why do you want to get into the writing life? What you're doing is you're putting a cat in a cardboard box, sealing the box, and the cat wants out. And you know what cats will do when they get out? They will chew and claw their way out of their box, but they will get out of that box.
They will. Cats love boxes, by the way.
Yeah, that's kind of weird that way. So, how does this apply to your experience? Well, you go ahead and take it for what you are, but I know that when I was working full-time, and I know that Cece is working full-time, and we interview people who are working full-time, who, work, get home, write. Our next door neighbor, in fact, this is fun. We were talking about writing the other day. He is a swing shift person that works, for late afternoons to like midnight or something like that. And when he gets home, he writes until he gets tired, until like 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's when he goes to sleep. And that's what a lot of full-timers do is, they find the time to write. Mm-hmm. And so for them, it's, it's that hamster wheel just keeps moving. You go from work to writing to sleep to work to writing to sleep. Yeah. And a lot of writers do that. I know that we used to when we...
Oh yeah. I used to get so many ideas when I was at work, which is leading to Battleborn Bride. And in my case, I had like a little packet of Post-it notes that I carried around with me. I should have gotten a notebook, but I would have a purse full of Post-it notes of ideas of different things. Oh, I could do this. And since I was working at the place where all this information was stored, if I was answering somebody's question, inevitably one of the best parts about being an archivist was talking to a researcher when they found something cool that somebody else had not really seen, aside maybe from the person who created it. And you start talking to them about that and about the history around it and everything. And that led to so many story ideas that I think being an archivist is actually a perfect job for a writer who loves history. Mm-hmm. So Post-it notes everywhere, not in order. That's why I should have had a notebook, but we had drawers full of Post-it notes handy because we had previously had a business. JT had an IT company for a while, and we still had some, things left over from that, and just, it just snowballs because the ideas are everywhere.
If anybody has an idea on how to get off this hamster wheel, how to leave the writing experience that's nested in your brain, is that even possible? We're stuck with the reality of time also, because we are, I'm going on Medicare this year, and so there's only going to be X number of years, but my grandmother was viable until past 90. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at, oh dear God, I don't even want to do that math. But
that's another 15, 20 years.
Yeah, and she actually did self-publish a book when she was in her 70s, 80s.
Might have been 80s.
80s.
We actually have a full manuscript of hers that she'd written after that, I think.
Yeah, so it's like,
it's in his blood, obviously. And several of our offspring do write. Our grandkids like to write.
Yeah.
Only they kind of write things that are video game related, but
But
it's like it does.
But that's
It
fine.
gets in your
If,
system,
if it's your passion, do it.
and if it's something you're raised around,
Yeah.
it becomes a normal part of your life. And I think that's where the kids and the grandkids, because famously, you know, our youngest, who has published a lot of books, has said that part of the reason that she writes as much as she does is that she watched me writing when she was really little. So it's like you're perpetuating that
Get them while they're
hamster
young.
wheel.
Get them while they're young. Get them for life.
Yes.
So here we are, and we like to end the podcast generally with a wrap up, with a conclusion, with a solution, and we got nothing.
No.
We don't have nothing. We know what the problem is. We can see the problem. It's a mountain that's right in front of us that we keep climbing, pushing that boulder in front of us. And
I actually do have a thought on what would help us relax a little bit. And part of it is that we did start the company last year.
mm,
We're trying to make a success of the company, and we don't feel like we can relax until that happens. So if you're watching this, please buy our books.
Yeah, please
make
buy
our
our
company a success.
yeah, and I promise if you buy books, then it won't drive us harder to produce more books. That won't happen.
No, I'm just feeling at this point
Sarcasm.
with our company,
Yeah.
we're talking about the company, you know, you kind of give yourself a time frame if it's not successful by this point in time. But we've also said that, you know, even if it's not successful, we're going to keep writing. So, you know.
Okay, so
But success would help us probably relax a little bit.
so we're giving you a mission. If you happen to be watching this podcast, please point your friends and family to the podcast. And please point your friends and family to our books. And just say, hey, please just take a look at these guys and see
Right.
what they're doing. And you can reach us through the contact page. I am talking to readers every single day, and I do not mind it. I love talking to readers. They have excellent questions, excellent ideas, and I know that Cece would love to do it too. Please, your mission this week is to point people at the podcast, point people at our website, carsonhume.com. And say, hey, check these guys out. Maybe they've got something you like. Maybe they've got a podcast that you like. And see if success will make us better.
Well, at this point, we've tried just about everything else. I mean, the only thing we haven't quite, and when we say success, we have been successful in publishing books. We're talking about being successful in finding an audience. We need to find our people.
Right.
And I've joked for years about becoming New York Times bestsellers and everything, but really, I think we'd be perfectly happy with a small group of loyal followers. We have our fan club.
Yes.
We have the few people that JT's been chatting with who they start to pick things up and they get excited about it, and it helps re-energize us. So I think that would be the solution.
Yeah, but I can't promise that it won't make us want to write more.
No,
Because,
but maybe we'd be more relaxed about it.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, we've as we tend to do, we've really
We're overthinking things.
Yeah,
again.
we've driven this subject into the ground. So, just as a reminder again, you will be able to see it if you are in the local Reno Spark Carson City area. Again, we will be at Comma Coffee on March 17th, selling those books.
St. Patrick's Day.
And we've got 2 events in April, which we'll be talking more about as we get closer. And we have the event in June with Sierra Arts Foundation. And of course, the last thing we're not going to dive too deeply in is next month, we are going to go on a cross-country trip and visit independent bookstores and libraries across the Deep South. And then we might do it on the way back also, but it really depends on our stamina. We could be pretty much worn out. We also could be out of money, and we might be heading straight back. We will see when we get there. Anything else for these fine people?
I will say that if you're interested in that road trip, I do plan to continue posting my daily videos. So we will be recording throughout the course of the road trip. We'll probably be doing social media about the bookstores and libraries. So if you happen to be along the route, we may be somewhere near to where you are, and you might see some familiar things. So hope you'll follow along with that.
Right. And again, reach out to your friends and family and say, hey, check out this website at carsonhume.com.
And it's not just us. We are trying to promote other authors as well. We know a lot of authors are in the same boat, whether they're traditionally or independently published. So please check out your local authors. Every place has probably got a good group of them. And definitely check out the authors in Northern Nevada, because we have a great group here. Check out the Nevada Author Network, and check out the interviews that we do on the CC and JT Amateur Hour.
And that's the name of that too. And I think we'll go ahead and let y'all go. Thank you for playing along. Thank you for watching. And we hope to see more of you as time go by. For now, that's CC.
That's JT.
Y'all take care of yourself, really. We're better with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.